Hey, Strictly Patrick here. This is actually an interesting little side conversation that spurred off of a recent stream I did on Eric July. In it, there's a video that touches on the Vito pedophilia, sympathy, empathy, however you want to call it, debate. From there, we kind of sidetrack into a couple other fun little arguments, and I thought that since we went on long enough about this stuff, it might make an interesting little additional video. So hopefully you enjoy. Thank you. If you like the content, please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
You keep it in the wrapper just like you keep Eric's.
Is it gonna be like the anti-hero, which is so funny that it's like what his comic book guy is like the anti-hero is going around killing. That's so funny that that he chose that as his main character. It's so like Vito to be like, I'm the anti whatever the fuck everyone's talking about. I'm pro pedos. Like that's what he's all about, right?
I love it. Yeah. I love the we're pedophiles and racist because we don't like the comic.
Who is
hey, no, I know, never said you.
Is he killing like pedophile superheroes?
Actually, he only goes after Vito himself. Actually, that's another thing. Why are you guys so into this pedo shit?
Why Vito? Are you so into it?
All you gotta do is watch that stream that he did with Nina.
Some of us are parents. No, wait a minute.
This is the biggest fucking no you argument you will ever fucking see. But it does, like I said, there's a point where I'm going to side with Dick, and I will explain my nuance when I get to that point.
Maybe some of us are
parents.
And when somebody,
we don't like pedophiles.
Wait.
None of us like pedophiles, right? Can we all admit that none of us like pedophiles?
Vito sits out here every day and is like, pedos, I'm a pedo, dude.
How's it going, GG? How you feeling?
How could you, Patrick? You were going to skip up the Vito the Pedo segment.
Well, this it's pretty good, but Dick makes a pretty good counter argument. I will say that. I'm not one to side with Dick here, but his counter is actually pretty strong when you take into factor the nuance of it. Like, I get what he's saying, but I don't like the fact that I've got to take the nuance in for him on this, but then he wants everything literally so damn black and white when it comes to Eric July and his freaking comic.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what his argument is, even though I haven't heard it in like a year or so.
It's identical to Vito's. He literally is going to back up Vito's argument. So if you know Vito's argument, he backs it up and just provides a little more nuance and filler information.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like Mr. Girl and how Vito defended him and everything, right?
Yep.
It's just a joke and everything. Context being that if you're anti something and you joke about it by being that, means that it's not serious if you're just putting it up for an act.
They're going to get into that, and then they get into the other side of it, which is going to be, well, your solution is to just kill all. And it's like...
Oh, yeah. the non-offending horse shit.
Yes, we're gonna get heavily into that.
Yeah, it's like the non-offending shit. It's like, it's kind of like a bomb that hasn't exploded. Are we gonna defuse it? Fuck no.
Yeah, I can understand it in the context of like he's trying to give, but it's funny because of how wrapped up he gets, especially Nina in this argument. I think he gets Nina, Flash, and Tug really wrapped up in this argument. And it gets to a point where, like, he's literally asking a totally different question, and they're like, nope, kill them all, no matter what. And he's like, you fucking people are insane. And they actually sound a little fucking insane at that point. So it gets good.
You want to share a screen or?
Oh crap, I forgot. I didn't start it yet. So we are in luck. Okay, that works.
There's Huggy.
Invite speak. Hey Huggy, how
hello. You doing? Yes, hello. I'm old today.
Yeah, it's officially happy birthday. right?
Yay!
I had to look at time to make sure, and then figure out time zones. That was interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna stream, but then I saw you have the stage open. I'm like, fuck it, why not join Patrick's this stream?
Yeah, have at it, man.
That's my bullshit fucking birthday stream. What the fuck ever?
Look, if you want to throw your link in chat or anything like that for Dono, just fucking go at it, man. I don't mind.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody wants to bestow Huggy with some happy birthday funding, I'm sure it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, happy birthday, Huggy. We're talking about pedophiles.
Wait, I thought you were talking about Eric. I thought you were talking about Eric.
We are, but there's a very close tie-in.
Is it Vito?
Yes.
Yeah. And Dick.
I love Dick Mac. You know, I like Dick Masterson. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm.
Did you watch Kino tonight?
No, I didn't. I was friends on Discord were like showering me with happy birthday love. So I was like, I didn't watch Kino Casino.
Well, wait for like either Alyssa or Kino Clips get the segment up, because it's going to be a pretty big eye opener for who Dick Masterson really is.
Listen, isn't Dick Masterson the same dude that argued for Lolly and fucking?
He was friends with Digibro and basically protected him for the longest time. And then Vito and Mr. Girl argued for Lolly and shit.
Yep, and Cuties.
He was definitely one of the ones he was defending Cuties, though.
Yep. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I know this community spoke about Cuties, Mr. Girl, whatnot. But I need to ask you, have you guys ever just watched the movie and critique it?
I've not watched it to critique it, and I'm not one to shy away. I mean,
there are plenty of people who have Huggy, and they kind of got lambasted for even watching it in the first place.
Well, I was going to say, the biggest critique that I've heard of the actual film, like when you go to watch the film, is that they use actual children and put them in very suggestive type situations. And
yeah, I mean,
suggestive camera work too.
Well, I mean, not just like suggestive situations. There's one outright where the girl is running away from either her uncle or older cousin or brother. I forget which it is in the film. But this is one of the scenes everyone got really fucking like peeved at, was where the girl like takes his phone, then takes like a snapshot of her cooch in the bathroom.
Oh.
Yeah, and they basically go to the waistline when they're showing it happen.
Oh. Yeah, that seems a bit excessive.
Yeah, so it's not just like the fucking dance troupe fucking horse shit that they have on the marketing. It's that scene too. Not to mention, like, they had a bunch of underage children do tryouts in front of like the director.
Yeah.
By doing like all the suggestive dancing and everything too.
Yeah, and that feeds into the whole dance mom stuff and everything else that I know was finally becoming a bigger issue. I always kind of thought it was weird personally, and wasn't my cup of tea, like with Discovery and TLC and all that shit. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a French film. What'd you expect?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, you know, where do you divide? It gets too nuanced into art. I mean, it's one thing for me to sit there and like, I've watched House That Jack Built, okay? I actually think it's a decent movie. It's a serial killer movie, right? The movie, nothing special. It's interesting in the concept that it uses, but otherwise nothing special. The whole big thing with that is that the director is a legit Nazi. Like, he's an outspoken, actively involved, politically involved Nazi. So it's like it's taboo in a different way. And like, I don't know if I would go to watch Cuties, like if I could really disengage myself enough to watch that and not be bothered by it.
Well, I mean, have you ever heard of the Nazi Titanic?
No.
Okay. It's not the one where they're trying to evacuate German citizens from the eastern portion of the country when the Russians were moving in, and that one ship with like over 10,000 passengers, which was like relegated for like 2,500.
Yeah.
It's fucking torpedoed. It's not that.
Okay.
There was a Nazi film director who did propaganda.
Okay.
And wanted to who wanted to make the first, I guess you could say, full-fledged film about Titanic. And the whole premise was that it was just British incompetence that caused the ship to sink when it ran aground. And the one hero in it is the German first officer who's an expert in icebergs. Now, here's some film trivia. That film survived, but one of the scenes was actually used in the movie A Night to Remember, where the German first officer, the iceberg expert, is going through the halls and checking the cabins and basically brings a girl to the top deck to be put on a lifeboat. That's the only clip from that Nazi propaganda film that was used in a Hollywood film. Yes.
Yo, welcome knowledge, my friends.
But the Nazi Titanic does have like a more darker end to it. When they built a replica of the Titanic, they loaded it up with Jews and then they exploded it.
Oh, Christ.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, when they were filming the sinking scene.
Well, there was a couple, I don't know if it was necessarily that movie. There was a couple instances of that happening, and I believe there was even one that was an Italian film where they used the fascists took over Italy. I can't remember what the other party was called in Italy during the time, but there was a film where they like were doing this movie and there's this big like fight scene, like war style scene, and it's all Roman time period, and people literally, there's like 3 people that actually die in the film, like that you watch. There are 3 people that literally die, and that made it to the final cut. Like it wasn't even just for the theatrics of it. So it was just, they got battered to death on some rocks. It was, I want to say it was like almost like 300 or something like that, but
maybe. But yeah, that's a little film trivia for you guys.
That's kind of cool. I didn't know that. But yeah,
it's like from like a Nazi, like if it's a Nazi director making a film, I think you can be forgiven for watching it.
Yeah.
Because 1, it's an ideology, and 2, it's so far removed from the war that it isn't actively committing a war crime.
Yeah.
This one, on the other hand, is supposedly like tying in actual children in the production of a film that is supposedly trying to express the message that girls are bombarded with lewd and lascivious sex all the time. Yeah, hypersexualization all the time in marketing and media, to the point where they, turn into little whores.
Yep.
And the director thought the best way how to do that was to use actual children.
Yeah, that's
like
that's that to me, it doesn't further progress the art in any way to have kids in there, especially if there's, from what I understand, this is true, there's no emotional sentiment built up. It's just a matter of disgust. And if it's just to discuss, I mean, you could discuss in other ways without incorporating children.
But at the same time, it's like they wanted to be on a more visceral level. I could understand that argument, although it would not make me go for the green light for this to even happen.
Yeah.
Because we know what will happen is, like, once it's out there, you're going to have fucked up freaks like Mr. Girl and fucking Vito and Dax Herrera defending it.
Well, and I think the biggest thing that kind of basically torpedoed that film. Okay, there's films like 100 Days of Salo, which is like a very known Italian film. It's up there as like one of the most depraved films ever made. And it's literally got the sodomization of children and stuff in there in the original cut, right? And even Green Inferno and stuff like that, where you had animal brutalization. The thing is that these films stayed in their niche market. I think what kind of was the death nail for Cuties is that it was put out by Netflix. It was adopted by Netflix and put on their platform, and therefore endorsed hypothetically by them.
Well, technically, I mean, that would do it because it's being put onto an international market. But I mean, what was that one movie? Because the director, from what I remember, she was Muslim and she was trying to come at it from like a Muslim perspective.
Yeah,
if I remember her words correctly.
Yeah, it's straying
like,
from the Muslim faith. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, I mean, there's a perfectly good book to movie that they could have drawn more inspiration from, which is Kite Runner. You remember that?
Yes, I remember the book.
Sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
Okay, Huggy remembers it, but here's just like a long and short of it. Basically, it's this Muslim who's living in America, and he ends up adopting or taking care of a son of a friend of his who ended up dying. Now, it's basically the story details like the two different upbringings of this guy and his friend as children, one being Shia and the other being Sunni, the two sides of the Muslim faith.
Yep.
And one being more affluent in a certain country where its society is predominantly one side over the other.
Mm-hmm.
And his father ends up adopting his friend and paying for a surgery to fix a hair lip. You know what a hair lip is, right, Patrick?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, basically, the idea was that he wanted the father and him wanted his newly adopted brother to be smiling and and basically fix his hair lip so he could smile for once. Once it's done and he's able to smile, the smile gets taken away for a completely drastic, completely different but drastic like situation, because within like certain Muslim countries, this kind of relates to what's going on in Great Britain with like the Pakistani child rape gangs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up being raped by other Muslim men over there, and he never smiles again and basically lives with the trauma. And it's kind of implied that he commits, suicide.
Okay.
Because
See, and that's a far darker interpretation of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the main character is basically trying to figure out what happened to his friend, and he goes back to their home country and ends up finding the man who sodomized him and everything. And I forget exactly how that story all resolutes, but those are like the key points of it.
Okay.
I think Cuties could have taken like a more a keyed approach like Kite Runner to deliver its message than what they chose to do. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, they don't even like show the scene where the kid gets sodomized or anything. They heavily imply it by like, if I remember the movie correctly, he's brought into a room with a bunch of older men, and the door slowly closes while you hear him scream.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like that, with the implications of it, I mean, obviously being as dark as they are, I feel like that's a lot more comfortable than some of the suggestiveness that they did actually use in Cuties and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then it's like, as Chad says, like the thing that they combated is that they end up propagating in the end.
Yeah.
But I just think they could have pulled more from Kite Runner than anything else.
Yeah. That probably would have been a better story. I mean, they both have dark implications, with the irony of the Cuties movie being that there is a happy ending as far as the daughter, I believe, sees the error of her ways, returns to the faith, and becomes more incorporated in family and all that, and sees the value of it, where the other one is obviously a lot darker ending. But it's
I mean, from what I've seen of it, because I watched someone reviewing it, and they play like the ending where they're doing that performance or whatever, and there's like one guy in the crowd who's like turned on by it, and he gets like fucking pestered by a woman or something, and then it cuts to her like returning back to a normal childhood within the faith and everything. It's like the resolution is just that there's barely any to it. It just cuts from like the bad end to like, oh, I chose a different path.
that makes all of the darkness less necessary, in my opinion. Like, you could infer it, you could do things like wearing makeup and stuff like that at a very young age, where she would initially like start removing it because, oh, my family finds out, and then slowly you see her change physically without it being sexualized.
Yeah.
In her attitude, her behavior, like, you could display all these things and then still keep away and keep separated from the sexuality of it, infer it maybe. I mean, through literally the same means. You could even have like her going into a stall and have the door shut and see a flash of a camera, which would infer something. Like, you could literally do all this stuff without the suggestiveness needed.
Yeah, it's just like the whole movie was fucked up, and like that one scene I described earlier, that's like one of the impending consequences is that like the uncle, or I think it was the uncle, was like mad that she was doing this, and then she like ran and hid in the bathroom and then did that whole shot. It's just, you didn't have to go that fucking extreme, because it's implied that she's like framing up her uncle as being a pedophile too.
Yeah.
Because it's his phone that she takes the picture of and then posts it to like social media or something. It's just like a really weird fucking scene that was like probably the worst out of all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, other than again, getting into the sexualization, as far as like I've heard the dancing and all that, and it's like, I don't know. I don't have any desire to see it. From what I've heard, it could have propagated the same story with the same resolution without any of the the steps that they took and deemed necessary.
I mean, it had like, well, outside of like the fucking movie itself, like the premise on how it was being run is like fucked up enough, like having tryouts and shit.
Yeah.
It's like they weren't only doing this for the director, they were doing it for like the entire film crew, and they all had like a decision.
I heard that as well.
So it's like, wait, so the whole film crew was okay watching a bunch of, like, it's fucked.
Yeah, that wouldn't be okay.
I mean,
I'd be like,
nope. Wait, okay, wait. I need to pose this question to y'all.
Okay.
You know National Geographic or any of those nature shows or whatnot?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question: would you, if there was a film crew filming a native tribe doing weird fucked up rituals, like bloodletting, how can I say this properly?
I've heard this argument before because you aren't the first one to bring it up. Basically, it's similar. Yeah, go ahead.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you are a film crew and you're filming and documenting heinous acts in the tribe, can you make the argument that they should take a stand, just like they should take a stand with cuties? Because it's both.
Yeah, I would say yes. Because the direct thing that I draw into with that would be the African continent with female castration, and a lot of the awareness surrounding female castration and the damage that it did to female physiology is what kind of began the stigmatization of the process, and like making it more of a lesser done thing even by tribes, like that there was no need for it.
Yeah, and it kind of got flipped on its head because shortly after like the Cuties movie happened, like there was like a significant push again, like with the wokies trying to say like all cultures are beautiful and equal and everything.
Yeah.
And then you had that one dude from CNN go to a cannibal tribe and was basically on the verge of being murdered by the cannibals.
Yeah.
For not wanting to eat the human brains of an enemy that they conquered.
Yep. Well, and then again, to further perpetuate that, you had the guy that swam out to the island, or chartered a fishing boat in close proximity to the island, in India.
Island.
Yep.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just like they probably should. I mean, if you're going to document something, it's good to put all your cards out on the table. As far as transparency is.
Wait, first of all, I just realized something. You need to, you will know ahead of time what you're going to do on the film crew. Like they tell you what.
Yep.
So, okay, I rescind my point, Gigi. Yeah, there must be a bunch of perverts in that fucking crew. I take it all back.
France, it was a French film crew, and I mean, like, you know how they are. It's like Pepe Le Pew over there.
Still, Gigi, if you were into the entertainment industry, and let's say you're a gaffer or fucking a gaffer, like a light gaffer, but whatever, like someone on hand, right? Like whatever, like somewhere behind the scenes, and you were told you're going to be in this, you're going to be working on this film about the film Cuties, whatever, like with whatever. Let me ask you something. Would you be like, oh, that'll be an interesting job, or would you be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna find something else to do? Because again,
usually they would. If they just told me like what the film's name is, I'd be inquisitive. Like, okay, so what's the film about?
But I'm saying you know what the film is about. I'm not saying just the title. I'm just saying what the concept is.
Yeah, I mean, if I were asked to like work on the film of Cuties, I'd say no, and I'd find a way to deliberately sabotage it.
Oh,
like literally Molotov cocktails and a lighter, and I'm good.
but yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to like go down this rabbit hole, folks.
No,
but yeah,
it's applicable.
Because it's like, look, Vito. Again, I haven't heard much of Vito because, like, I was doing birthday stuff or like whatever. Well, but Vito's a hater. Vito is a fucking piece of shit person that took advantage of Maddox and Dick Masterson's fucking breakup. So now he's on a podcast. Now he thinks he's a cool person. And again, I follow Eric July when he first came up with the idea of ISOM and whatnot. Like, it was a brainchild of his. He GoFundMe. He did the whole GoFundMe stuff. Like, he built things with his own two hands. He got own RSS. He's his own proprietor person. Like, he did the shit by himself, bro.
Well, he had two people. One was like, didn't he say in that Kickstarter video that he had two people, one to do the coloring and one do the art?
Yeah, line art and color. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is like but that's just his baby. What I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his creation. He set up the building blocks to get it off the ground and everything.
I would like if I had known that you were going to cover this, Patrick, I would have suggested to you should buy the first issue of the comic and get your own and do your own little research on it and read it, and then you could be like, hey, Rita, you're a fucking idiot. This is
we're not specifically going over the comic. We're going over the drama of Dick Masterson and Vito versus Eric July, not so much as like the source material.
But yes, I understand that.
I think I was able to outline that pretty well as far as when I even showed like Dick's initial criticisms, where he goes through the initial list of criticisms against Eric July's comic, and I showed it the way I showed it because I wanted to display that like he doesn't even show any of the panel art. He shows nothing. With a comic that's in some cases more than 50% of the story. Like you can't sit there. And then the other side of it that I gave kind of background on, because I did a little research with Dick and a little obviously know-how with Vito. But with Dick, he's an author, so he comes from a literary background. So when he's writing, he's literally got to he's got no pictures. He's got to do everything by spoken word. So he's got to set up his environment, his characters, everything. So, from year 2054 on a gassy planet in the far end of the Milky Way, in these bubble huts lives these people. Like, that's how specific he's got to be. In this case, like, you could just show that with, like, a cell. in a comic. And then on the other side, you have Vito criticizing this, and Vito has not published anything at this point. So you have someone critiquing something that they themselves have not even successfully done, which, you don't have to successfully do it in order to be able to critique it. But at the same time, the critiques that they're giving are so obtuse and so, like, they're getting into minutia. Like, well, when he put his hand on this character, that's assault. Like, suddenly we're going to apply real world values here. Are we going to apply the same real world values when Vito writes his thing and his anti-hero goes on a killing spree? Is he going to be then convicted for murder in that book and we're done?
You know what's really fucking ridiculous is that these fucking arguments that Dick was bringing up for Eric July, people used to troll fucking Chris Chan with when he was writing Sonichu.
Yeah.
especially when Asper Chew was on the market and everything. How he was like killing trolls, like people who were fucking with him, and he wrote into the comic book. And it's like Chris Chan is like, he must be a dictator because he isn't getting charged for murder and everything. Because everything Chris Chan does is like a just act in the comic book. It has like justification that's so fucking petty.
That's for the Dick show.
That's for the Dick. Hey, yo.
I'm just saying, it's like the kind of shit that he was like implying or trying to argue seriously with Eric. It's just like, that's the same shit that they trolled fucking Chris Chan with.
Well, here you go, Jim. It's his highest rated book that he's got out of 338 ratings. He's running 4.5 stars, selling at a whopping $2.50 or 30 cents.
Oh, by the way, I know you guys are not really. I know you guys aren't covering the comic. I know there's more critiques that Vito and Dick we talk about. I want to make a quick point about the comic itself.
Yeah.
The comic costs $20, right?
Yep.
96 pages. 96 pages. Mm-hmm. That's like a small novella.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to be desired in Isom. And again, Vito.
I mean, it's like 100 pages in all, and if it's selling for $20, it's like what, 50 cents a page? It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say to you is like Vito needs to understand that building your own business is not easy, and building a creative business is not as easy as you think.
No, and then I was even going into the whole tiered pricing for when he did his charity stuff, because that comes up.
Yeah, that's like where the whole scam thing comes from.
It's not a fucking scam, you idiot.
No.
It's just a fucking, like, I don't know. Why is Vito such a fucking... He gives powerful energy.
Well, Dick propagated that it's a scam, where Vito pushed harder on the comic sucks. And I think that I kind of just tied into this just a little bit earlier, but I think that the whole argument comes down to Vito being the point of origin for all of this. And I think it comes from kind of a scorned lover, almost, in that he is not loved like Eric July is loved by the community. But Eric July had already put in all the work when he crowdfunded his comic. His comic was more or less ready to go. He just needed the funding to publish, and then he was able to reap the rewards of it. Where Vito is trying to crowdfund his actual production of the comic.
And that's the most retarded thing, because he has to provide like constant updates, and we've seen the fucking fallout from it. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
He's constantly like using copyrighted characters, bringing them into the work.
Yeah.
Just like Chris Chan would do.
Yeah.
And it's just like his originality is, I mean, have you seen like the fucking dialogue between his character and Superman?
Oh God, no.
I mean, he wants to bitch about walls of text that have nothing to say. Like, I mean, dude, look at your rough draft.
I could see, based on his speaking style, how his dialogue would be meandering at best.
Yeah.
Because
you know what else is funny? It's like Yeah, you guys have seen One Punch Man, haven't you?
Yes. Sorry, I had to think through.
Yeah, One Punch Man. That started out literally as a shitty web comic that was like making fun of mangaka and everything. Yeah. And he's that turned into a fucking show, and it's getting drawn and rewritten for an actual manga and everything. Like, I think they've gotten to the point where Saitama is like fighting with God after I think it was it's too much to explain, but it's gotten so far as the mangaka that it's like superseded the original webtoon. And it's like that guy really didn't have to do much. He just had like a funny idea to turn a trope on its head and like critique it. And then it gets turned into like something that everyone loves, especially like the 2 different seasons that are already out. Like season 1, everyone loves it for the fluid action scenes.
Yep.
Then those same people hate season 2 because like we lose those because they switch from Studio Madhouse to something else.
Oh.
However, what really benefited from that switch, I think, was the sound design, because damn, does some of that shit fucking hit in your headphones.
Oh man. All right, well, I'm going to play this because it gets really funny.
If a guy stood outside my house yelling,
Hold on
pedo,
a second,
I'd take their word on it.
Let's pull up the stream that he did with Nina and watch it right now. Let's watch that comedy.
Can we not say yes or no? We're all anti-pedophile?
Yo, I'm
anti-pedophile.
Of course. I'm anti-pedophile.
Everybody in the world has been pretty much anti-pedophile, right?
Not Vito.
Doesn't seem like Vito does, because every time someone talks bad about a pedophile, he runs out there with a shield.
Yeah, every fucking time Vito's like, oh, the pedos. We got to have sympathy for them.
He really likes them. He feels bad for him, Dick.
Well, you don't feel bad for pedophiles?
No.
Well, I could say Canada has the solution for people with mental illness.
Okay. He had me here as far as like, when I first heard this, I'm like, the fuck are you talking about, Dick? Like, are you fucking insane? But he does make a slight argument here.
You do feel bad for pedophiles?
No.
Are you kidding me? You have a compulsion to fuck kids and you can't get rid of it? That's horrible.
And you feel sorry for that? That's sick, man.
Why
That's
would
fucking
you?
sick.
It's a mental
Why
illness.
would you want anyone to have? You don't feel sorry for people with mental illnesses? What the fuck's wrong with you?
That's kind of where he got me, because then it's like,
no, fuck you, no.
I can get it. I'm not saying I agree with it. I can get it.
Again,
well, I mean, that's the thing. Classifying that as a mental illness is like
because then
so
if you
absurd.
Well, if you extrapolate on it, okay, so what if you chemically castrate somebody and take away their desire and their urge in order to be able to be attracted and be a threat to the child, but they're still technically that?
Well, I mean, it doesn't just like take that away. It takes it away from having like any kind of like strong sexual attraction to anything.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you've literally eliminated that whole portion of their life. Like, they will not have any sexual attraction to anything, which is, I mean, obviously a gross over fix to a situation, but in my opinion, like,
here's the thing I will argue. If a pedophile was to go after someone, would go after a child, right?
Yep.
See, what Dick is kind of do the humanitarian route, but let's say Dick has a son or a daughter.
Yeah.
A pedophile was to do the Tilly bitch with them.
Yep.
Is he really going to have the same reaction? Or will he want to pull a bullet through that? I think he's arguing
more the Vito position, which is the non-offending one. Meaning they've never gone after a kid. They, as an adult, they recognize, hey, I'm attracted to this. Hey, it's not right. Hey, I need help. And the help is chemically castrating them.
Well, yeah, because just like, and again, I'm probably going to catch some slings and arrows for even saying this, but with pedophilia, it's not so much as like a mental illness as it is a paraphilia.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, because, I mean, the term before pedophile was pederast. And usually that's when it has something to do with, like, a sexual need or nature of someone. We saw how it went with, like, you know, gays being considered, being gay as being considered as, like, a mental illness and everything.
Yep.
However, we're putting this same kind of like same situation, but with like something that's outlawed and completely like tossed to the side of like humanity. Like if someone is into that shit,
yeah,
they're probably going to catch a bullet whether they're offending or not offending. It's just that when you put it in the mental illness category, and there is no way how to treat it, and the recidivism rate is like insanely fucking high for these people.
yeah.
It's almost on par with like trans people and the what percent bullshit
Yeah.
that people use all the time. It's that high. You kind of have to like wonder like, is there even a cure? And if there is, these are the only ones that we could come up with is just castration or elimination.
Yeah. And I'm working off the ideal that in today's society, the elimination is not an option. Realistically, it violates humanitarian rights. It violates legal rights. It violates civil liberties and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Patrick, I respect you as a man and as a father and everything else. But again, let someone touch your child.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I know that would drastically change the entire argument for the other side.
Yeah, you would totally put a bullet in their fucking head. I don't give a fuck what they do. Not offending or offending anyone that speaks.
Well, once they touch the kid, technically they would be offending. So you're talking about basically like a food shops, okay? Food shops would be a great thought experiment here, okay? Food shops had the whole POCD, okay? Where they recognized that this is not, they so much didn't want to be this, and then they were pushed into counteracting their fears with being pushed into this, and now they are actually labeled that. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily a pedophile, even though technically when you look at certain definitions, they would fall into it.
Well, excuse me. I mean, my apologies. The bullet argument is for offending pedophiles. I'm talking about people that have done bad things.
Yep. Yeah.
People that realize that they have a problem and it's a weird attraction.
Yeah, it becomes a very interesting thought experiment.
I mean, the thing is that you almost kind of want to have the fucking bullet option instead of like just chemical castration because from what I looked into it, that does like cause like severe like health problems later on in life for the people who have been chemically castrated. Because when we're usually talking about pedophiles, we're talking about male offenders, and if you like chemically destroy like the testicles, like that fucks up a lot of shit with the male
become
body.
a hormone imbalance at that point. Yeah.
Not just hormone imbalance, but basically body temperature regulation, because your testicles also deal with that, just like your feet do to a certain extent.
Yep.
It just like it fucks with a lot of shit. So it's kind of like physically handicapping someone for the rest of their life to where they're going to have some kind of chronic issue that you almost would prefer to be put out of your misery.
Here's a fair compromise, right? You get the non-offenders, right, to go to therapy. You try to get them to go to therapy.
I mean, that's the thing, Huggy. It's like
wait.
No. Now, let me explain why before you go into a faux pas. Because have you ever seen? I know you've seen The Sopranos, right?
Yes, I've seen The Sopranos. Of course. Come on.
You know what the turning what the turning point was for Dr. Melfi, correct?
It's been a long time since I watched the show, but what was
the turning point was at the very end of the show was Dr. Melfi was introduced to a study in which talk therapy only helped sociopaths get better at being a sociopath. It didn't actually help cure it. Now, think of a pedophile who's going into talk therapy about being attracted to kids. It doesn't matter how much like negative reinforcement or trying to de-escalate the thoughts. It's just that you're addressing those thoughts and you're delving into them. You're basically putting the patient into a situation where they might not see an alternative and will have those thoughts ever present. And if like certain methods don't work out, it's going to cause them to offend.
Hear me out. I hear what you're saying. Hear me out. You know how, like, I've heard many true crime stories where serial killers and bad people are throughout their origin story never went to therapy, never talked to anyone about the feelings or whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my argument. Let's just say you had a non-offending pederast, right?
Yep.
They go and they speak their feelings out. They go to therapy as long as they want to go to therapy, right? They talk their feelings out and whatnot. Now, if it gets to the point that you show them the way, you told them what steps they could do to subside the urges, or to understand the root as to why they feel how they feel about certain people. If they act upon it, then there is no way to feel sorry for them. We gave you charitability. We try to give you mental help. We are addressing your mental illness by getting you to therapy. We're trying to teach. We're trying to help you.
Yeah, we
You
get
know,
it.
get back.
Basically, we gave you the tools and you disregarded them.
And if you disregard them, then guess what? You're not really about wanting to change. You're not like you were saying. Chemical castration is it's like a slow death rather than a quick death. To be honest with you. So
Yeah.
if people want to change, what's your attitude, folks in chat? People want to change, they are going to change. If people don't want to change, they will never change.
Well,
So
here's the other side of it, Huggy. It's like the whole talk therapy thing is that a therapist in general can handle people with depression because they probably experienced it at one point or another. How is like a normal therapist going to be able to, you know, de-escalate and explain to a non-offending pedophile how to get rid of their pedophile urges
Then you
and
know what?
navigate through it without them being a pedophile
Then
themselves?
you know what, Gigi? The fucking degree's worthless because again, the whole
No, no,
point
no,
of
no, 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 no. This is literally the argument that fucking Vito brings up is empathy, not
empathy, you fucking. I'm not calling you a retard. I'm calling you a fucking retard.
what wasn't
sympathy.
empathy or
Sympathy is
no,
more.
it was empathy because we can sympathize. Like, yeah, you've got something fucked up with you, and I feel sorry for it. But if you come around my kid, you're getting a 45.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can
Because
sympathize that there's something fucked up, but empathize means that you have to have like those same kind of thoughts because that's the word that fucking Vito used in
Yeah.
those tweets and everything.
Yeah.
because is because again, you. Oh my god, like this argument. Like I'm not talking about you, but this is stupid. Again, if you know you have a problem, right, and you are taking the steps to get better, and you were trying to be reformed, then great. But again, Vito, if you're listening to this, if you are not trying to get better and you just want people to feel sorry for you and give you chance after chance after chance, I'm sorry, no one's gonna give you chance after chance with that fucking kid. No one's gonna give you chance after chance. Someone that's defenseless. That's like let's go to the reverse ages, right? I know this is gonna be a hard lead, folks, but hear me out. What if there is someone out? What if there are a group of people out there that like to abuse elderly people? You know
Mm-hmm.
those nursing home videos
Yep.
that you see. Okay, now let me ask you something. Should we have sympathy for people that beat up on old elderly women and men in nursing homes? Should we feel sorry for them because they were living in a bad home, or should we beat the fuck out of them for harming grandma and grandpa? Like that, like everyone should get sympathy for all the bad things they do, but at some point we have to understand who should get sympathy and who should and who shouldn't.
Yeah.
You should get sympathy
Yeah,
for stealing. You should get sympathy for stealing a car, stealing candy, stealing whatever the case is. You should get sympathy for fighting someone in the street, or whatever the case is, because you don't know what the upbringing is. But no one should. But nothing in the
well,
bylaws of humanity states that we should give you sympathy for having an attraction with kids or beating up on old ladies and men. I'm sorry. there's a line to be drawn here, and if you want to get help, sorry, you were saying.
I was just gonna say it's like with pederasts and pedophiles all together, it's the specific target is tied to what's wrong with them. Like anyone who's beating up on old people, it seems like they have an abusive personality, and it's just like a crime of opportunity. It's not so much as that they're drawn to like, oh, there's a granny, I gotta hit her with a baseball bat, kind of thing.
But you get what I'm trying to say, though, G.
Yeah. I get you. It's kind of like an imperfect comparison, but I get what you're saying as far as the outcomes.
Can I introduce one more additional point?
Go ahead.
Please
All right, so we have the theoretical fix of like if you could go to therapy and fix it that way. We have a guaranteed fix of chemical castration. Now, what if there was a third option where you could just go live in a enclosed facility or desert island, whatever you pick? I feel like enclosed facility is a more likely situation. Do you think that's a viable option, given that you could still be connected to the outside world, still have civil liberties, still be in a way connected to the world with the guarantee of not interacting with children?
Well, I mean, that depends. Is this going to be like an enclave situation where it's
I would
like
think more of like a mental health facility / prison, basically, but more like more European prison. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so sanitarium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can thank JFK for getting rid of those. No, but seriously, it's like, I mean, a halfway house idea like that. I mean,
and I don't mean a house because I feel like a house is too much of an exposure risk. I'm talking about something very, 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 very constricted from the general population. Whether it be like physically constricted, like an actual physical island, like an Alcatraz type situation, where you could have a whole fucking village of them over there.
Okay, so it'd basically be like the fucking George Carlin bit where you wall off one of the four corner states.
Yeah.
I mean,
anybody that comes around as a trespasser and you shoot him.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, so
I don't think that would work. I mean, I was going to follow up by saying it's like, I mean, either chemical castration or like actual therapy, in which, I mean, there is none. I could see some people legitimately saying like, oh, there needs to be like an anonymous group, kind of like with alcoholics, and it's like PA, Pedophiles Anonymous. Like, I don't think that's a good idea because number one, they're anonymous, and number two, there's a group of them and they're talking.
Okay, so I have a question to broach to you. If you find out that a girlfriend of yours came to you and said, "I have feelings for kids," this is your blood brother, not but this is your homie. This is your ride or die. This is your boy or whatever.
Wait. Did you say girlfriend at the start?
What did I say? I said your homeboy.
Okay, I thought you said girlfriend at the beginning. I'm like, wait, what? And then it's like my blood brother, and I'm like, what?
I said blood brother, but that makes no sense.
2024, they can be all the above, okay?
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the closest person to you, right? Says to you, "Hey, I am interested in little people," right? Let me ask you something. Will you be the type of person to look them in the eye and says, "I can't be friends with you anymore," and then walk away, or would you be the type of person that tries to be their their protector or try to shield them from the hate and the whatever?
I mean, if it were me, I'd probably joke about it. It's like, you're attracted to little people. Well, I'm sorry, there's not many midgets out there.
I mean kids, but you know what I mean. I'm
saying... I know. It's just I'm just telling you how I would have handled it. I would have joked at first because it seems like I'm being put on for like a fucking like bullshit scenario.
But if it does happen, can you see yourself being their friend, or would you just try to guide them towards a better path?
I think if it were me, if I were to sit down by myself after hearing that and decide I would have to go with not supporting him just on the fact of like, I'd rather sever the relationship, let people know, and if they get help, great on them. Things could maybe come around later, but I'd be more concerned that if I supported them, that I could potentially be putting somebody at risk and not know it.
I mean, the whole thing is like it depends. Like in my situation, I get where Patrick's coming, but if it's someone I've known since I was like a kid, and he just comes out of left fucking field with this shit, I would be fucking caught into a fucking whirlwind because it would just be like a hard reset on how I view this person.
Yeah.
And you would have to navigate. It's like you basically have to come up with a few options real quick, otherwise the fucking dead silence is going to set them off. And the only options are, it's like kick them out of the apartment if they're like, you know, living with you, like in a shared apartment kind of thing. Or it's like, how long have you been having this shit, and have you actually acted upon it? It's like I'd literally go into like either like kick them out or interrogation mode.
Yeah, I just feel like the more I instantly thought through that from the second that Huggy asked that question, no matter what answer they give me, would I then be able to trust it? And ultimately, like, once I would have found that out, it would have fractured the trust to the point that, like, I would be more than worried about, like, okay, if I start sticking up for them and defending them, who knows what I could be, assisting and abetting. And not in legal term. I'm just using that because it's the best term that comes to mind. But like, I could be abetting them in doing some heinous stuff and not know it, and I'm just thinking I'm being a good friend. Like,
yeah, because I mean, think of it like this, Suggy. I mean, how much do you know of like evolutionary psychology?
Evolution, I mean, I have a grasp of it.
Okay, well, you know how it was for like, cavemen, like back before pre-civilization days, and how survivability depended on numbers, correct?
Correct.
That's probably the only time when pedophilia of any sort would be justifiable.
Look,
if you're literally a guy named Thag and you're fighting a saber-toothed tiger with a billy club.
Again, I mean, I don't want to get into the. I see
no. I'm just saying, like, this is a key link because I mean, that was part of humans.
We've crossed that threshold
evolution.
as a society.
Yeah, we've crossed that. Yeah, we've crossed that threshold, not just as a society, but evolutionary speaking too. Because it's been well over tens of thousands of years since we've gone from our cave-dwelling ancestors to where that would be permissible or like even necessary.
Well, I even think
where
like 1600s would probably be about the limits of that. The survivability based on plague and sickness and illness, you know what I mean? Like propagating family names, etc.
Basically, from what I understand of it, it's like that could be the reason why we have pedophiles, is because they have that trait of caveman DNA still rooting around, being passed down generation to generation.
I just want to know what I mean, I do apologize, chat, but like it brings up a very interesting research project as to at what point did the notion of PDF like behavior become a taboo thing? Because remember something, ancient Greece, Sparta, like up until let's just
the classical the age of thought and reason, Huggy. Think of it like this.
I could argue.
No, I'm just saying, it's like I'm giving you a definitive timeline. When we became the age of thought and reason, where we were starting to have the first, inklings of human civilization, rules, law and order, and structures set up for societies. That's when it became like uncouth, and it had to go under its own evolution, such as like child marriage.
Yeah, see, I would say that in that case, I would go with the towards the end of the Industrial Revolution, because life expectancy, childbearing, and all that. I mean, most of your schooling was completed by roughly the age of 14, unless you went to a finishing school. So by the age of 14, you're both reached adulthood. You've probably been working for a couple of years, depending on your income level. I mean, and just your general survivability. I mean, what was I believe 45, 50 was kind of like, and late stage
that was
life.
Like grandpa ages at that point. Like, I mean, you had a few outliers where people would live to like either their 70s, and even fewer that would live to be like 100 back in those days.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, there's actually a movie, kind of a horror movie of sorts, called Child of Man. Have you ever heard of that?
I have.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, you know the premise of it, right? Everyone in the world is infertile,
Yep.
except for this one teenage girl.
Yep.
And somehow she's pregnant, and when you see her being like carried away by people who are trying to protect her, and you see all the people surrounding the car wanting her because she's the only fertile human, you know, she's going to be the one that carries on the human race.
Yep.
Would you consider all those people out there gooning her and like, give us the child? You know, would you consider them to be pedophiles?
Yes.
Or extremely desperate people like trying to keep the human race alive? Like,
I mean,
you want a moral dilemma of like deciding which group is pedophiles or not.
like I said, I just like I know this is off topic, but it's a very interesting premise as to what is the definitive point we as, because think about it, classical era, I'd say classical era, like the Grecian era with Socrates, Plato, Aristocrates, blah blah blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Men of great ingenuity, great brilliance, like philosophers. They had boy, you know, the as you can say, the bussy, bussy. They had the bussy,
Yeah,
and
we know the original Olympics were all a bunch of naked men fighting in a dirt ring and everything.
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
but here's my point, and again, I apologize for going off topic. Huggy has a fucking hair up his ass when it comes to critical thought.
I
The
mean, you
thing
could
is,
just bring in like the Romans and how they would train their squire boys and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
for the Roman legion
My
as an
point,
example.
my historically speaking, it could be argued that PDF behavior is ingrained, like you said, cavemen, ancient times. Like, I think it's ingrained in everyone. I think we have gotten to a point where I think I wouldn't be surprised if there was a case of a bad person going after a child. That's when everything switched for everyone as to why it was taboo. I just want anything that's what's happening. But the thing is that, you know, to steer it back onto the Vito nonsensical train, I think we have gotten to a point of safe spaces, and everyone is viable, and everyone has a voice, and blah blah fucking everyone has a voice. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Not everyone deserves to have a voice. Not everyone deserves to have a safe space.
Is
Not
that all this
everyone.
was? That the whole buildup was like, shut the fuck up, you're a horrible person, kind of thing.
No, I mean, but think about it. Everyone wants representation. Everyone wants to be heard. Every like you may think I'm being facetious or bigoted or whatever the case is, but you know that slippery slope that old people used to say back in the day, like, oh, if you let these people get married, it's gonna go to this.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
there was a childhood book I used to read called "If You Give a Mouse a Cookie."
Right. If you okay, so listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very fucking carefully. I'm not trying to be bigoted. Hear me out. No. But
There was a lot of pretensing.
Listen.
To break it down for you folks, Huggy says that the furries and the zoophile should be put a muzzled on.
No, but that's the thing though. We okay. Gay people should get married. God bless. That's love. Whatever the case is, right? But then all of a sudden, the LGBTQ whatever thing is, then everyone wants to start adding their own little quirks. And now it's getting to a point where maps want to be part of the umbrella, and like people are trying to be destigmatizing maps,
Mm-hmm.
and people are trying to destigmatize furries, and people are trying to destigmatize a lot of other shit. It's getting to a point where people are hitching on the wagon of LGBT, right?
Yep.
To now to say, hey, if you're going to accept them, you should accept us because we are oppressed. Blah, fuck, we're oppressed. That's a slippery slope that people have to understand that, and that's where people get this really stupid idea that we should give sympathy to PDFs.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's just like the slippery slope argument could be better exemplified by the whole schools putting litter boxes in the fucking bathrooms for furries.
But
it's like,
but
who's actually going to fucking use it? I mean, seriously.
Furries.
No. Seriously, who's going to go to the fucking trouble of role playing to the point of taking a shit?
You'll be surprised at what furries would do.
I know, but like, who's going to be like hired to clean up human fecal matter in a
you
box?
Will be. I mean, again, you will be surprised at what people will do for money. But I get.
No, Huggy. I'm not saying like as in a perv kind of way. I'm talking about in a public facility, in a public school.
Oh,
like the janitors would probably up and quit and say like, look, this is not dignified work. Look, I can scrub a toilet, but cleaning out a litter box for someone who just wants to play pretend is fucking ridiculous.
But you know what they would. You know what they would say. You're being bigoted. You're being respectful about my wishes. But you see where the slope can get, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, it's like there's a reason why certain people put a foot down. Huggy, we're not in disagreement on this. I'm just saying it's like you could make your arguments a bit more clear if you just go with a specific example instead of generalities.
Listen, this is why I have you around, sir. You sharpen my things to a point, and I appreciate you about that. But you get the gist. The slippery slope can be a bad thing, and this is where the slope is going to. You sympathize with people want to sympathize with pedophiles. What the fuck is wrong with this world?
Well, what's funny is I kind of disagree with the everybody has a voice now, because I believe we are still selectively limiting, and in that way, like there is in such a way we will never have a zeitgeist style world that most people would endear for, because you are still going to have people who are of differing religions, of differing social groups, of differing even ideologies, as far as like I'm sorry, but you're never going to comfortably have a neo-Nazi living in a diverse person of color neighborhood happily. You're never going to make everybody happy. And I think that's a big thing that nobody tends to understand. And it's who you want to make unhappy that you have to draw the line at.
Think about it. Like, who's going to go along with an anarchist other than another anarchist or a pyromaniac?
Yeah.
It's like there are deviations in thought, and straight up anarchy is pretty much like, don't give a fuck if the world burns, it's fine so long as nothing happens to me kind of idea.
Yeah,
I agree.
And then you get into even more nuanced arguments than that. I mean, classical anarchist versus a more neo-anarchist.
But
the funny thing is you know what the funny thing is like I've met like a lot of anarchists online.
Yeah.
And every one of them is strictly anti-pedo.
Yeah.
It's like we'll watch the world burn down, but if you fuck a kid, we'll set you on fire.
Yeah, but yes. No, I like there are deviations to the safe space argument, but there is a lot more damage regarding, like, again, sympathize with pedophiles has gone to that point. I will argue that. I mean, would you think 25 years ago people would sympathize with pedophiles? No, fuck no. You would never even read the word. I don't think so. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
In certain spaces, Huggy. I mean,
not in a public forum like this. Not like on a fucking, not on an internet call where you're like, you should sympathize with pedophiles. Not like this. Maybe behind closed doors, but not this brazen. Like, again, is Vito a fucking retard? Of course, Vito's a fucking retard. Is Dick Masterson a fucking retard? Of course he fucking is. But the fact that they're given the space to say this and not being laughed at or get kicked out of the call speaks volumes of where we are as a country.
Do you think that a veto situation is the new norm or still an anonymous? God damn it. Anomaly.
It's I would say the norm. You know why I would say the norm?
Good.
Look at Choir on the Set, the documentary by Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Corey Feldman stuff. We all laughed about Corey Feldman and the fact that he got R-worded by fucking producers or whatnot. Again, it is normal. It's normalized, but people speak out about it because they were in fear. But I think that if you give this enough time, I think that there will come to a point where maps and other really strange kinks will become normalized, and we will be told to learn to accept it, and it's okay as long as it doesn't hurt you. As long as you mind your business, you should not police people who they love. I think that's what's going to end up happening. And people could disagree with me on that, but like I said, you give a mouse a cookie, you're gonna cause that mouse to become really fat and really stingy and really and you can't.
That's not how the story goes.
God damn, I'm on a roll here.
It's if you give a mouse a cookie, he'll ask for a glass of milk. If you ask for a glass of milk, he'll ask for a napkin to clean up the milk on his face. And it just keeps snowballing from there. It's just like it keeps wanting more and more and more.
In this new Gen Z or Gen Alpha, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's gonna be more and more and more and more and more, to the point that we become the dystopian future where everything is legalized, where everything is okay.
I don't think we're going to see that.
Yeah, that probably won't happen because the powers that be have already got like a fucking plan in place that doesn't involve like all the fucking crazies on the internet.
Well, even separate from that, I think you'll have a social reorganization that is already somewhat occurring. So I think you're basically going to ultimately look. The urban areas are going to be your primary points of that normalization of things that are now not normally accepted. Let's put it that way, right? So from that, you're going to have a group of people that is then going to disagree. Those disagreeing people, not being able to overcome the majority, are going to move away and go to smaller communities. Those smaller communities will start to group together based on liked, bonds and whatever. They're going to push out the people that they don't agree with, right? And it's going to cascade. Eventually, I see us coming all the way around to the point that you're going to be 1930s, 1940s America, where you're going to have segregation and things like that, but in a different form. It's not going to be a skin color issue necessarily, as much as it's going to be a belief or a sexual orientation or something like that. I could see. Well, I think we're just going to repeat that cycle.
It's funny how you mentioned segregation, because that's actually been like reintroduced in certain colleges and whatnot because of the wokies.
Yeah.
Just they believe that because this is what they've exemplified through their actions and what they've been, clamoring or what they've been asking for, is that segregation wasn't the problem. It was the reasons behind the segregation that was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if it was like, it's like it's almost like saying that the Holocaust wasn't a problem. It was the reasons for it wasn't the problem, kind of situation. But it's like you did it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
but you kind of had the right idea in mind for how to target it.
What the fuck? Oh god! You know how we could fix our problems? One word:
suicide.
Armageddon.
No, Purge. I'm just saying the Purge. You hear you hear the sound. Everything is legal for 24 fucking hours. You know how much culling you will fucking do with society. You know how much cleansing you can do.
You know what would happen? That would make segregation almost like a permanent mainstay.
How so?
For certain areas. Like, again, if we're going to go with the Purge idea, if there's a population center that's 70% black and 30% white, what, who do you think's going to win out as far as the numbers game?
The African Americans.
I'm just saying. It's like every fucking idea has its drawbacks.
Yeah, but
not only that,
especially if they're really simple.
It wouldn't even necessarily have to have the limitations that you have with the movie cinema version of a Purge, because your rich can just flee. So you're not going to resolve anything. It's just going to be poor people killing poor people.
Yeah, and it just become a class.
You say that, but
well, actually, no. I mean, technically, I mean, if it would turn into a classism, even if the rich people decide to flee, it's like, you know how like fucking black ops are, a lot of sneaky motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It's like during that time, it's like if they're over the ocean and the clock strikes 12, the bomb goes off. Completely illegal. I got rid of my business partner. I own 100% of the company.
Okay.
And then a bomb goes off in his chair.
Yeah.
It's like no one owns the business.
But yeah, like I see the classism exempting themselves, and then it just becomes a class warfare that you're heading towards right now. Ideally, it's going to be longer term this way. You would just expedite it.
Fucking Patrick, you killed my idea. I was hoping for everything equal. I was hoping for everything to be like, I'm gonna go after everyone. Like, fuck that shit.
I'm very much a realist. I'm sorry.
And again, I'm sorry. And again, I know we were supposed to roasting Vito and his nonsense, but really quick, the idea of a purge.
It only works in fiction if you're trying to tell a story, Huggy. I mean,
it sounds interesting. It really, it's a very interesting world we could be living in, because like imagine if let's just say July 4th is Purge Day, right? And then you have to fend off crazy people, and then you just have to, and it'll build character. Like if we could survive the Purge, we could survive anything. And then maybe we could stop having pussies in our society. We don't have to have these fucking feeble-minded, Tide Pod eating, fucking prankster video people. We're gonna have real Americans doing real things like Hulk Hogan back in the day, buddy, for America.
I mean, Huggy, your idea, it's like you would, I mean, for it to take place in the way how you're thinking, where everyone gets it, there'd have to be a lot of stipulations other than just like, you know, no rules. It's kind of like the fucking, well, what is it? Fight Club. There are no rules in Fight Club. It would be that kind of dichotomy or dilemma, because you would have to set up rules in order for people not to do the whole flight thing like Patrick suggested, or for someone to preemptively set up arms and fucking like battalions outside of a certain town and just go fucking, you know, with a plan in there and just storm the place.
Oh, jeez, right. I forgot the idea of battalion. God damn it, GG. You'd be a great Purge general.
Well, then you could also get to a point after a few years where there's just an equalization and nothing occurs.
Or you might actually have people go to the farmland states and actually live there. And so now you actually have everyone living in the 50 states.
Yeah, I would see communities like that walling themselves off. You basically go inside the walls, and basically you're kind of in a lot more fortified version of New Orleans at that point, where everybody's got to either come over the bank, or you could have patrols on a wall or whatever. Flood walls exist in a lot of areas, especially in the Midwest. So you already got walls.
The overarching problem I could see with the Purge is like not just like the absolute desolation of a population center, but like the after effects. Like, what are you going to do with the bodies? Like, if you got so many bodies, it's going to cause like biological hazards and whatnot. Not just with like the decay and destruction, but just like with human carcasses around. Like, invasive species would move in to a certain degree. I mean, there are not a lot of decomposers that would be able to do the job. Not to mention, it's just like like think of how people like all the different ways how they could just end another person. There's tons of property damage. It's like, what would be the point in fixing up a town if it's just turned into like a fucking free fire zone?
Well, and then the logistics afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
As
like
far
the
as like
logistics afterwards.
even
Like,
like
do we have
your minimalist
like
versions of it, like okay, like street cleanup and waste disposal and all that. What happens when those people get killed?
yeah, it's like before the
'Cause-
Purge day, do we all have like dig your own grave day or something?
Jesus,
that is cannibalism. Oh my god!
Listen, if you would told me, hey Huggy, what are you gonna be doing for your birthday? in my thing, I would not be talking about fucking pedophiles on the Purge. No, sorry, nope. This is a very interesting thought experiment. I will tell you that much.
But Necro, that's my thought. What happens if that janitor at some point throughout the other 364 days leading up to that point pisses off somebody? Then the janitor is dead. Who cleans up the janitor? What happens if the person who hires the janitor is also dead?
Yeah, not only that, that also brings up like another interesting question. It's like once people like begin to kill, they could either have one of two reactions: either they like it, which is the worst one, or B, they become psychologically disturbed to where certain parts of society starts to break down because of it. Then you add on top of like the double factor, it's the police. They also live in the town, and it's a purge day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're dealing with someone who's an officer of the law on a day in which no laws exist.
Yeah.
And then the next day they go back to having those laws exist. So
Yep.
can you really trust that person to do their job?
Well, I mean, look, I live in New York, and the worst place, the Purge would be the worst place to have it at for one simple reason. If you're taking the metro and it's Purge Day, you're fucked. Because you're in a
Well, I mean,
melt
not only
tube.
that, you're going to cause a lot of train derailments.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just think of how many people are just going to be pushed in front of the tracks because the thing's coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. You can't, I mean, I would argue there must be decent people that want to take you home, Lyft, Uber, taxi. I would argue that, but maybe not. But like I said, human psyche has become marshmallow in this day and age.
I mean,
Because
look, Huggy, if you're going to bring up like Uber drivers and shit like that, why not just bring up a barber? We could have like 1,000 Sweeney Todds in that day.
if you're really gonna get a fucking haircut like a few minutes before the Purge starts, you're fucking retarded. I'm
Well, what if
sorry.
they're a foreigner and they came in on a plane and they have no idea that the Purge is happening?
Are you
they just walk into the barber shop, it's like a little off the top, and then they just slit their head off, and it's like not that much.
If you're a foreigner and no one is told the Purge is starting, your government failed you. Hell, if
I'm
I
just saying,
were
Huggy, do you think if you were going to have a Purge day, would you tell all the countries of the world it, or would you keep it a secret? That way, certain unsuspecting ne'er do wells get what they have coming to them.
You are fucking vindictive. I like this about you. I
I'm
never
just telling you,
thought about
that's how
like
certain people think in the government.
you would think that if they came up with the idea of the Purge, you're thinking that they would keep him mum until the possible. Okay, are we
Until the last possible second?
Wait,
Yes.
wait. Hear me out. Are we this idea of the Purge? Is this pre-social media, or this
Well, I mean, the
during
idea of the
Twitter?
Purge happened during social media, so I mean,
People would tweet that shit out mad quick, my guy. They would be like #Purge Day. People would do that type of shit. If you could keep your mum and not have anyone know about unless of course you're gonna argue maybe 15 minutes before they want to start it, they'd be like 15 minutes later. I mean, 15 minutes we're gonna start the Purge. Then of course you're gonna have chaos, and then not really anything's gonna be happening, and blah blah blah. But yes, I, like I said, Vito and Dick Masterson are marshmallowing the social consciousness of America. You can't have sympathy for criminals. You can't have sympathy for people that want to do harm for others. I think that's the argument I have with Vito and stuff.
I'm going to totally spin your Purge argument 180 degrees.
Please do.
Okay.
It's not really an argument. I'm just wanting to know if it's feasible.
Wait, which one? Me or his, Patrick?
Huggies.
Okay.
Okay. Hear me out. Can you see the stream?
Sun Valley, yes.
Okay. Do you know any of the importance of that town?
No, I don't.
There is one day a year that town would be very valuable in a purge.
Why?
It is host one day, well, actually 1 week, relatively soon, to where most of the world's wealth is compounded into that one location.
Oh, okay. What are you trying to get at?
You would only need one town to have the purge in on one day of 1 week of the year if you really wanted to have a hunting party.
Well, it could switch alternatively every year in that week. You don't know when it's going to happen. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And it's in the most dangerous state to have that.
What, Texas?
No, Idaho.
Why is Idaho dangerous?
It's one of the highest concentrations for radical nationalists in the United States. Oh yeah, per capita, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, the entire United States could be totally fine. Fuck, most of Idaho could be fine. You could have one county just have a purge for 1 day of a week.
Okay. Damn it, you guys killed my purge idea so fucking quickly. I don't like y'all.
Dude, I'm just saying, it's like simple solutions always have like the worst implementations.
Necro, they wouldn't go there during the purge. I'm just saying, make that the purge.
Oh, yeah.
Do it at the Bilderbergs.
Yeah. I mean, you got what is the other one? Little Bohemia. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather do it at Burning Man. They already got the fire started.
Well, no, Little Bohemia is another congregation of world wealth. It's a massive, technically secret society.
Okay.
Yeah, Burning Man's for a bunch of wealthy hippies.
Yeah.
Can you fucking imagine you're tripping on acid and then you have to fight off people in the purge? Like you think you're fighting demons, but actually you're fighting Bob from accounting. Oh god.
Yeah, it'd be like Doom, but like first person.
Oh, I like how you think. Yes.
Doom meets fuck.
Pink Floyd's The Wall.
No, well, kinda, yeah. I'd say it'd be more Doom meets Mad Max.
Wait, are you talking about the game? I mean, I know.
No, we're talking about like Burning Man being on acid and whatnot.
No. When you say Mad Max, when you say Mad Max, I'm thinking about the game where Max has the Charger, I think, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I just think of the proliferance for off-road vehicles being it's the desert.
Ooh.
And there's also a large availability of peyote too.
There was another, I know you. I would recommend another topic for next time. Like I would recommend you talk about people having ayahuasca trips, and speaking about if you can, is it possible that you can actually see God, or is it possible to meet God through hallucinogenic trips?
I had a friend that would attest to yes.
That he or she met God.
Yeah, Squishy Jesus is what he called the figure. We're all fucked up on fucking DMT, so.
You want to know what my master plan is for illuminating people?
What is your final solution, GG Evans?
I create a weather machine, and then have a lot of Dyatlov passes happen over the years.
This is evil. This is pure. Wait. Can you repeat what you just said? Because I was like saying you're evil, but I forgot. I didn't hear what you said.
I'd create a weather. I would create a weather manipulation machine, kind of like what HARP does, and I would use it to cause a bunch of Dyatlov passes.
What's the Dyatlov pass?
Oh, that's a good one.
What is that?
Serbian, Serbian or no, Russian college camping trip. Went up into the mountains. Was it 15 or 20 people?
I think. It was 9 people.
Was it 9? Okay. All of them expired or all found in various states of
dismemberment.
Yeah. And it took them roughly 40 to 50 years between classification of KGB documents and stuff to actually figure out what may have happened.
Yeah.
So how would weather cause dismemberment?
Avalanche is what they believe.
Avalanche. Tornadoes,
you want to cause an avalanche.
You just need one of the avalanche cannons.
Well, it wasn't so much as the avalanche. It was more or less like what they were able to put together is that an avalanche didn't happen, but a lower pressure system went fucking haywire and caused like an instant drop in temperature, as well as a giant fucking windstorm, which visibility was like barely a foot in front of you. And these people were out camping, and basically the worst thing happened, and their tent got collapsed, and they're out in the cold facing the elements, and they're all trying to group together, get to lower ground where there's like a little bit of outstretch of land atop of them to protect them from the windstorm. However, they didn't make it.
Ooh, okay.
If you're looking on stream, you could see some of the pictures.
So yeah, I'm in your Discord. So essentially, you want it to be like a act of God type of thing.
You just need one of those. Who has that? Swedes?
What?
It's actually like a howitzer, technically. You just need one of them. They literally trigger avalanches with this. This is how they clear stuff for skiing and everything up there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's an actual weather team that's trained and operated in a howitzer.
I don't know. My plan wouldn't work, but it'd at least leave the least amount of tracks.
Yeah.
For how it would lead back to me. Because if I had a weather machine like that and I had free access to it, the government would want it, so I'd have to strike up a deal with them, and they would keep it hush hush.
Well, depending on who and what conspiracies you subscribe to that already exist in Alaska. Was it Project Hope, I think?
No, HARP.
HARP. Okay.
Yeah, the HARRP.
Yep.
Oh, if you want to get into some nutty shit, Patrick, I could recommend you someone by name of Dr. Amon. His name is Dr. Amon. He is he speaks like Christopher Walken with a fucking surfer boy tone. He essentially had argued that Jesus was that the Bible isn't the Bible's depiction of Jesus wasn't accurate. That like
and neither was the depiction of Jesus on that piece of toast from that lady in Newark.
no, he's an actual. Hold on, wait, God, wait, you think I'm crazy? Hold on, I'm not crazy. Like, come on, guys.
Is it this Amon Hillman?
Amon Hillman, yes. He says that, yeah, it's like he speaks about why Jesus was arrested. He argues that Jesus was arrested because the 12 apostles were not really men, they were boys. He was having children as his followers.
Are you kidding me? He's literally arguing Jesus was a pedophile, therefore the Roman guards arrested him.
That because again, yeah, if you want, look, if you want to do I have a clip. If you want to play the clip,
yeah, sure.
You're more than welcome to play the clip, and we could discuss it. I know you guys. Again, I apologize.
I don't mind at this point.
I do apologize for deviating on the fucking thing, Hashtag. I apologize for fucking up your stream.
No, you're fine, Huggy. I can always do a part 2, man.
Okay.
It was kind of something I threw together. I'm not gonna lie.
If you had a time
okay
machine, you could go to any place in history. Where's the first place you would go?
Yeah, I would go back to the Garden of Gethsemane.
The Garden of Gethsemane.
It's the public park where Jesus was arrested.
You are obsessed with it.
He sounds like he's on the verge of cancer stage 4 in both of his lungs.
Like he's an actual doctor.
I wouldn't trust his doctor's opinion, I don't think.
Public park where Jesus was arrested.
You are obsessed with this.
Yeah, I think
you constantly talk about this moment when Jesus was arrested.
Yeah. It's why is that?
Is this in the Bible?
Yes, it is.
Also, dumb question. How many versions of the modern Bible are there?
I don't know how many, but I can think of at least 12.
And what's the difference between them all? Why are there so many versions?
It depends on the time that they're translated. And if you'll notice, a lot of them will follow the earlier authors. Right? Bible scholars don't read anything outside of the Bible. So how good do you think their vocab is? How good do you...
I've heard this theory, and it is actually founded in some truth. Some truth. That there's just basically you didn't have many people that could read, like, Aramaic and stuff like that in order to be able to translate Aramaic into even Hebrew or Old English at the extremes, or Latin. So that, and then there's a lot of crossover terminology that also gets lost. So, like, technically I've even sat there and used an argument against somebody who's like thinking that they were a high and mighty Christian, that I was like, well, technically you're practicing pride because you're proud of the Bible, correct? Yeah. Well, that Bible is actually based on a false idol, because there's no guarantee that the Grecian Aramaic translations into Latin, into English, followed exactly what your God and your God's words were. That was an asshole argument of mine at one point.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like there weren't that many educated people, and the ones that were could hoodwink a bunch of other people.
Yep.
I mean, that's like
very easy.
That's a low jack way of explaining it, but
yep,
it does like bring an interesting situation up when it comes to Moses and the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
For all we know, the Family Guy bit could be correct. Commandment number 1: shut the hell up.
No, but continue to go.
Do you think their translation skills are?
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's the problem. So those translations are generally pretty bad, and that's what I brought some examples of.
Okay.
And this is in the garden, actually, that I brought these slides for.
Okay.
And this is the Garden of Gethsemane. And where are we? We're with Jesus in the first, and he's being arrested.
Okay, so let's give some context.
Yeah.
Let's give some context to this. So who was Jesus, and why, and what is so good? What is so great about him?
Yeah, Jesus is a guy who walked around with 12 children. and
all the time,
and prophets, and a group of prophets. No, I'm just telling you what the text says.
He was just a guy who walked around with
prostitutes and children.
So what was so great about him?
He called his disciples, and he calls them his children constantly, right? Remember, God.
So he's a pimp.
God blesses those who take care of the children, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
He takes care of these children.
He takes care of these children.
Okay.
There is a female underage.
So basically, his theory is that Jesus didn't die a virgin. That he's the father of all 12 of these disciples.
No.
And one was like a little shit and sold him out to the cops.
No.
He does drugs.
He didn't father the children. He just those.
No, Huggy. I'm making a joke for Nick.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Did you not catch the last part? It's like, and one of the little shits sold him out. It's like, Daddy does drugs.
Oh yeah.
They found out his carpets were dirty.
No, but
I'm just saying, like, you know how like Nick Arcada's going around bashing the Bible and doing that shit. Wouldn't hurt to throw it back at him. Because he acts like he's so holier than thou, and he's being put to the cross by the government.
I'm just reading chat. I'm sorry. We've set chat off.
When Jesus Christ is in his trial, his followers won't admit they're his followers, right? It's the whole, you're going to deny me, right? Jesus is all like, I'm going to get friggin' scandalized, right? And you're going to deny me. When he's in the garden and he gets caught, and those three, Peter, James, and John, they're keeping watch, the text says. They're guarding at a distance. While Jesus takes the naked boy that's been assigned to him, that's what the text says, like a slave.
So the depiction of this event is only in one version of the Bible. Is that right? Is it Matthew?
No, it's in multiple, but the kid is only in Mark.
Only in Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's only like 2 sentences, right? Steven, can you pull up the passage?
I've got it here.
Oh, you've got it there. Okay.
Yeah. 1451. Is that first line?
I can pull up the passages and show the different versions.
Yeah, let's
and how
do that.
It translates as well. What passage is it?
Mark 14:51.
14:51. All right, cool.
Okay, a young man. What is it? Can you blow it up?
Yeah.
A young man wearing nothing but a linen garment was following Jesus when they seized him. That's all it says.
Yeah. Now look at the Greek.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, a young boy was assigned to him, having wrapped his penis with a medicated bandage, and they arrested him.
A medicated bandage is what it says.
Sindon, yeah. I've got the...
Okay, so I'm comparing yours to what this one says. So visibility, I can turn on Greek as well.
Okay.
I would love to see how the this online Bible matches yours.
Check out the...
Okay, so right here, is that exactly what you're reading?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
Okay, which one of those Greek words is wrapped in a medicated linen?
Epigumno. This is on the... Okay, let's just start on the first line.
Maybe should we go to his computer, Steve?
Yeah, I'm punching it up.
That's it.
Okay.
Let's go to the first one. The second word in is neoniskos, and that is what we call a diminutive.
Neoniskos.
So it's a little of something else. And what is a neonias? A neonias is a boy.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a little boy.
Okay.
And they called paidiska female prostitutes who were underage.
Okay.
And when I say underage, I don't mean...
Did they define underage down back then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not under 18. It's before.
So, okay.
Right.
So that was their word for before.
Age was... They didn't set a year.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Right.
The translation here says young.
And was there was there any sort of moral boundaries when it came to sex or prostitution based on
Not from what I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, generally, in different civilizations, you can still, like in Athens, you can still prosecute for somebody coercing what you and I would say is underage, them before puberty. Yeah, that's still, you can get in trouble for that.
Okay.
But it's not like it's not like there's compensation involved because, it's not like a crime like you and I consider a crime. It's more like a civil crime. Yeah.
Okay.
Or like being punched.
Right.
Yeah, you've damaged somebody, so you can give them reparations for damaging them.
Okay.
That's what you do. But the pedagogy in antiquity, pedagogue, that person who raises, educates the children, right? That person, that's the kentauron, they called them. The centaur. It's their word for past.
Which means what?
With children.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Wait. Am I hearing this right? Okay, so the word pedagogy was basically the teacher, and centaur was the pedophile.
Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. Like I said, Iman Hillman is a brilliant. He is a world-renowned scholar. He reads he translates everything to the original from the original Greek. He's very ahead of his time.
But
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got a doctorate in all these different old language studies, as well as a master's in Marlborough.
Yep. In the podcast, are you familiar with Galen, Patrick? The physician Galen?
No, not off the top of my head.
So Galen, up until the 1600s, was the premier medical man of the world, like from Alexander the Great up until 1600s.
Okay.
He got all the original texts from Galen, so he's very interesting. Now, granted, you're watching this clip and you might think to yourself, "What the fuck has Huggy have me watching?" Essentially,
Fez in chat, he's like BoJack Horseman was a kid toucher.
What? There are other like he's a little all over the place. I will admit that, but one of his projects has argued that God was actually Satan, and like these religious scholars or these people that Danny Jones interviews argues there are other books of the Bible that depict that God is not really God, and that Christ was a drug infused maniac, that all the hallucinogens and all of the miracles were just drug infused bullshit, and that all the Jesus's story is just a rehash of other stories from other gods and deities. It's a very interesting thing, but Amon Hillman, he takes on a wild ride. I'm just saying.
And back to our other wild ride, Vito.
Vito.
Well, I've been looking because I know this. I would have to know. Okay, so here. This is my thought process. I might as well show them on screen. So when you look up biblical original languages, it was written in 3. I thought it was 4 actually, but they're just saying Hebrew, Coney Greek, and Aramaic.
Yes.
The thing that gets interesting is when you always looked into the Aramaic side, there is 3 additional dialects of Aramaic. So depending on what region of the Assyrian descendancy they could be writing in a different dialect of Aramaic. I still call into question the translation of his translations,
Wait,
but
isn't Aramaic like the old version of Arabic?
yeah, I want to say it's a version
It's
of
like old Latin to current day Latin, right?
I believe, yeah. Sorry. But yeah, I believe
Yeah, Patrick, if you want a coherent person to my idea, yeah. This is just 7 minutes. You don't have to listen to Amon, but this is just 7 minutes of another thing that I was saying that I think you will find interesting. If you want to show it to the class.
What is to you? What is the biggest, most blatant misconception of Christianity, or modern
that people don't know? Like
yes.
So a lot. Okay, this is a big one. The manuscript traditions. So a lot of people don't know that Mark is the oldest gospel. People think it's Matthew because in the open up the Bible, Matthew's the first gospel. Then
right.
Mark is the oldest. A lot of people don't know most of the gospels are dated to, they'll say first century, but it's probably late first to the second century where the gospel starts showing up in the sources.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, but this is a crazy thing. In Mark, which is the oldest gospel,
mm-hmm.
there's no mention of Joseph as Jesus' father. Before that, Paul was the oldest text. Paul never mentions Joseph. So the first time Joseph gets mentioned in any of the sources is in Matthew's gospel, which is like 85 to 95 AD. But even worse than that, the scene in Mark where Jesus returns from the dead and shows the disciples that he's risen,
mm-hmm.
that's not in the oldest manuscripts. In the oldest manuscripts, the ones that are dated to like the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th century, he doesn't come back. It literally ends tragically with the women weeping at the tomb. And the angels tell the women that he's risen, but they don't ever see him. He doesn't have to come back. Then when in the manuscript tradition, after the 5th century, is when you start seeing an extra 21 verses get added to the Bible about Jesus coming back and saying, hey, look, I'm risen.
No way.
And it probably has to do with Celsus and Porphyry, these early, they call them pagan. They're not really pagans. They're like Platonist
mm-hmm.
writers who are very critical of Christianity. One of the things Celsus says, this is a book from the 2nd century against the Christians, where he even says, how do you even know he rose? All you're going off is just 2 women that said they met an angel? What? And you think this is the Son of God? I'm not believing this. So, and we know that this was a big deal to the Christians because Irenaeus, about a couple decades later, had to write a whole book addressing Celsus. It's called Against Celsus. So he was like, Celsus was like going after these Christians, and he was whooping their asses. I've bleeped that part out.
Wow.
But like philosophical, like debating wise, he was beating them up pretty bad.
Right.
Which makes me think that's why they added those 21 verses and said, wait a minute. No, he did come back, and here's what actually happened. But if you can fact check me, whoever's watching this,
mm-hmm.
The last chapter of Mark, the last 21 verses in that last chapter do not show up in any of the manuscripts before the 5th century.
The last part of, but did you say Mark was the first one to write about it?
Mark's the first gospel.
Mark's the first gospel. And none of the manuscripts before that.
Yes.
Can you say that again?
Okay, so Mark being the first gospel,
right,
we have manuscripts of Mark,
right.
So the first actual Bible, church Bible, where it has the Old Testament plus the New Testament, is in the 4th century in 325 AD.
Okay.
Before that, it was all individual manuscripts. So you have Mark floating around by itself, Matthew floating around by itself.
Okay, got it.
And some people would put together their own little, like a guy named Marcion put together a New Testament where it was 7 epistles of Paul plus Luke,
mm-hmm.
and maybe Acts, I think, but I can't remember. But Mark, the gospel of Mark that was in circulation
mm-hmm.
before the 5th century only had those up till the last 21 verses. So if that's Mark right there, that if you go to the last chapter,
we just lost Neil's audio, or I did at least.
Yeah, I meant to unmute my mic. I was on his.
Okay, okay, we'll just cut that part out.
This one goes all the way down to the 16. Does it go any further than that?
Yeah. Okay, so if you go down, this is Mark 16.
Yeah.
So if you go all the way down to the bottom,
lost manuscript out there in the wild, in the sand, it's just buried, and it's written by who was the apostle who sold out Jesus for 30 pieces? Judas. Yeah, it'd be like the Book of Judas or something, and like the byline would be 30 reasons why.
You fucking asshole. No, but isn't this
Judas ends up hanging himself from a tree at the end? I mean,
I'm gonna throw into question a different theory.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna put these in reverse of my search. So he mentioned that these 21 verses were added at 325 AD is when he said. So I kind of just looked up. I looked up two searches. So this is actually the latter of the two. So Bible transcriptions started taking place roughly around 3rd century BC. And then typically, just to show a thing, monks would be paid based on roughly their goods manufactured. Of the goods manufactured, I'm assuming of those would be Bible transcriptions sold to churches for whatever. So I'm assuming they were paid either by the page or by the, length of time it took to write. So I'm going to assume here, I'm going to go out on a limb per se, and say that they added those 21 verses because they were able to sell more pages, or they were able to sell a longer period of time, therefore increasing their income.
Profit margins.
Yep.
But why add? So they could have just left it alone and say that Jesus died and he didn't show himself to the followers.
Yeah, I find the increasing for sustainability, like increase, profitability to the monks and stuff like that, a higher likelihood than some guy was really good at debating, which is the argument that in its very nutshell he just gave.
Well, I mean, you also have to take a look at like their band-aid fix for it is like, oh, it wasn't just two women talking to an angel, it was multiple witnesses.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting testimony from like two people and ostensibly a third one through secondhand information, to where a whole group, including his disciples, saw that he rose. So you'd not only be imputing the testimony of just two random women, but you'd also be like attacking the character of the apostles.
Yeah.
And whether or not their credibility, is, justified or not.
I know I'm going to spell this wrong. Yeah, so you would have almost a millennia of time for manual transcription of these things. So you're open to a lot of interpretation and probably fast translation too. Because, I mean, don't forget, you've got, during this period of time, you had a lot of very decorative, like if you look at what is it called? Yeah. Codex Glass or Gigas. Whatever. I'm fucking tired. But this is actually it's the largest Bible. It actually shows the only technical drawing of the devil at the time. And it was done basically by page because that was this one monk's what is it called? Like his pledge almost was to just basically write this book. and is one of the most ornate Bibles and contains probably the most information. But it's also written at a date of
As Jim Jones says, the enemy of all art, of all creation, must not be allowed to create. He must be he must be desecrated, him and his ancestors, until he hath given up his pursuit of evil. Juju 117. Chapter 1, verse 17.
Oh shit. But yeah, as you can see, this literally took a lifetime in that time frame to write. This was literally his life's quest, was to literally work on this book. So, and this was well before the Gutenberg press, which was then your first printing press. So this is all manually written and drawn and everything else. It's a very ornate book. It's a very interesting book. Got some very, 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 very detailed pages. And this would have been done all by foreign inks and everything else, but this is kind of the scripting that I was talking about. So I'm sure if there's any way for them to take and write quicker and easier translations, they would.
If I remember correctly, didn't the LaVeyan Satanist guy offer to buy that book?
I think so.
You know what I find it fascinating that there isn't like an original Bible.
No, I think the closest you get would be
because there's a Book of Mary, Book of Enoch, Book of they're a lost book supposedly of the Bible.
Oh, you're talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was trying to think if it was the Rosetta Stone or the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, allegedly there is a again with these scholars they basically give Jesus a bad name. The guy that I showed you, not Amon, but his name is Neil.
Yeah,
had argued that Jesus is Satan, that Jesus was just a really smart man that knew how to take advantage of poor people, mindless poor people, and he turned a buck on it.
So what you're saying is his interpretation of Jesus is that he's the Huckleberry Finn of his time.
Pretty much, yes.
Damn. Okay.
and the fact that there's another guy named not Beelzebub, but I can't pronounce it right now, but like I feel as hell that this podcast is a wealth of topics for you, Patrick. Hell, there is one instance where a scientist was talking about how China wants to explore the dark side of the moon, and when someone asked the United States why do we research the dark side of the moon, they said no. So you can only people allege that on the dark side of the moon there are fucking civilizations there. UFO type of people, lost civilizations that we did not have on Earth that's on the other side of the moon, and yeah, you may think they're quacks, but I think they're.
When did the combo go from like Rickay to the deep philosophical shit?
It's theological.
It's my fault.
You can thank Huggy. It's his birthday. We had to entertain him.
GG Evan. Oh my goodness!
Wait.
Of course you'd be here. Where else are you gonna be, right?
We've got pedophiles, the Pentecostal, and Purge. We've covered.
Oh, I actually was listening a little bit. GG, you disagree. You think Vito's the pedophile. And Patrick, were you giving Vito the benefit of the doubt or something?
No, I was just basically given a couple thought experiments of like, what would you do?
What did you settle on when it came to Vito?
Death.
Oh, okay. I was gonna be like, wait. It's like another Darcy situation.
Oh yeah, Sen. We also figured out the origin, like the true first word for pedophile.
What?
Centaur.
What? Why?
Oh, don't show him Iamon because he's gonna make fun of him.
Why? Now I'm intrigued.
Well, it was a Coney Gracian translation of a word that what was the word, GG? You probably remember better than I do at this point.
Pederast.
Oh,
pederast. Okay.
What the
fuck? Not pederast. No, that's actually pedophile in modern day. It was pedagrecia, which was like teacher, even though it sounds like pedo, like pedo, and then it's like the word for pedophile was a centaur.
Wow, that's crazy. How far back does this go?
We were working the 3 and 4 BC.
That's a while back, bro. What the fuck?
Yes, and I find scholars, biblical scholars' translations of basically they make it sound like Jesus is a piece of shit person, that he's a grifter. He's basically the tipster of the time. And in Minor Scott Mommies, he had little children assigned to him. So again, there are many different translations about it, and again, I just found it interesting. I went down a rabbit hole, and yeah, this is where we are. So I'm surprised
And yeah, this is how we got from Ricada to pedophile.
Yeah, and apparently in Jesus' time, girls that hadn't even reached puberty were considered whores.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's some pretty dark shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, man.
That's the world that Vito wants to be in.
Clearly, but now he wants to retract everything and wants to act super serious and shit. It's such a like a joke. I don't know, man. He's a fucking joke. Vito's a joke. If you don't want to call him a pedo, at least call him a fucking joke, because that's what he is. This fucking grown man goes around the internet for a good amount of years saying that he's a pedophile over and over again, and he makes these weird fucking jokes that give Nick a run for his money about how he wants to fuck kids and molest them. And that's, if you give him charitability, you'll say those are jokes and not confessions. So again,
it's sickening, bro. It's just
and now he wants to sue people, or he wants to do the legal route after, all this shit. Or maybe that's just Dick. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I could definitely argue that he's a pedophile from one tweet he's put out there where he was talking about molesting a burning school bus full of children. Key word on being burning instead of just molesting, because it turns out his comic book is where his hero just kills all the other heroes or some shit. So, I mean, he's definitely got some kind of bloodlust in his fantasies.
I just think it's kind of telling and kind of pathetic that Nick and fucking Tommy C, of all people, the two alcoholics, will fucking back up Vito to the end of the world. Like, yo, come on, man. Like,
that was my one biggest disagreement with Tommy. I never understood.
No, you know what's crazy? They used the same excuse too. Oh, it's just jokes, bud.
Tommy even defended Mr. Girl. Like, remember?
Yeah, he did. That's
offering his 13-year-old daughter to him and whatnot.
Yeah, it's so weird, bro. These people are just fucking freaks. I don't know why they just turn into this shit, and then they become like Vito and Dax and Tommy and like,
well, let's not forget, son. Dick, is friends with Digi, bro.
Yep.
And so
that's where Digi. You're Jesus. That's where the famous fuck. What was the quote, man? I don't remember.
So bizarre.
No, not the Deji quote. The thing that Digi said that he needs to fight for or some shit. He was on Dick Masterson's show, and you can see like that generic white guy in the corner cringing while he hears Digi saying whatever.
What lolly is?
Yes. That was
lollies is or a lolly is a depiction of a little girl that gets fucked.
No. Digi said he likes to fuck. I need to get the fucking clip, but I think you get it.
Did you see Worski disown fucking Gator tonight?
Oh, it took him this long? It took him this fucking long? Really, Worski? Really? This fucking long?
And Gator was good friends with Digibro too.
Gator is like, by all these people's standards, right, that they set up, is a fucking pedophile. By PPP standards, by Worski standards, by Ricada standards, allegedly, if he even has any. Yeah, by all their standards, Gator's a pedophile. It literally took him this long to fucking do. So I don't trust most people on the internet, because they say one thing and there are little cracks there where you can see how it's like, oh, but do you really mean that? Like, because Gator, look at fucking Gator. He has it's not like he's clean. He's been around for a hot minute. He has all this fucking stupid shit on him. It's just nobody gives a shit enough to call out, because he's such a good little bitch to everybody. He sucks the right cock, and he just, that's all he does. But it's weird, though. It's weird, right? Like, Gator's like 30 years old, right? 30 or something.
To be fair to Nick Ricada, he may not have standards, but he does have measurements.
That's
here an ounce, there an ounce, everywhere else an ounce.
The nose. I think you mean to say the nose, GG.
By the way, Nicky looks very clean. I'm very proud of him. He actually looks like he cleaned
he
up.
got a nice little haircut. He got a nice little haircut. He got some sleep. He got a new, what was the car? Yeah, he took a shower.
He looks like a young, fresh Prussian soldier.
He looks like he's having a midlife crisis, bro.
Oh, he definitely is.
Car go fast. My life is falling apart, but car go fast.
Wait, Patrick, did you go over the Steely Dan or Steel Toe Dan nonsense?
Oh, Steel Toe Morning Show stuff with Aaron? Yeah.
Aaron, the cock that got to plow Nick's wife.
You know these idiots were like going against DSP, right? Randomly, they were going after DSP, and then there's so much lore with the whole whatever the case is. Like, I didn't know there were locals themselves too, but I would say that I think Christian is single-handedly responsible for destroying the commentary community. Because everyone that buys those fucking Sonic Cube medallions has faltered, except for
I've been hearing rumors since you brought up Christian that someone's been pressuring him to make Baldo chew.
Oh boy.
you okay? Do you guys adhere to the conspiracy that Joshua Moon stated that people are trying to kill Christian, or try to get Christian to kill himself? Would you guys subscribe to that theory?
That Null was trying to do it?
No, that people were trying to push Chris into killing himself.
I mean, there were a few groups back in the day that tried it.
Yeah, there was 2 distinct ones that I know about. Before, it was all pre-Liquid Chris.
Yeah,
and also
Chris and pre the trans arc he's on.
Yeah.
And someone,
by the way, before I forget this again, with all the mentions and the crossovers that we had between Vito and Christian with the mentions of the comics and everything, have we ever checked on Vito's mother?
Here's the thing: Vito's into kids, not old women.
Listen, the only thing
everybody gets their start somewhere, okay?
The only thing that we need to check on is JFA's fucking wife. That's the only thing we need to check on.
JFA
tipsters, you mean?
French dude, the fucking
JF Jarape, yeah.
Yeah, the fuck. Did I say GFA? I'm a fucking
You're fine. It's later early, depending on which way you look at it.
The French, the fucking French man.
Yeah, like, Jarape, yep. The brain surgeon.
Jarape allegedly killed his wife. What the fuck? Like that's a mystery that needs to be solved, hopefully.
Well, Royal Canadian Mounted Police are still on the case. They've not given up.
Of course they haven't given up.
They are still actively interviewing him too, from what I understand. Oh man.
But yeah, it's like the whole thing with Vito and the shit that's currently happening. It's just like the dude set himself for the shit, and it's like, I mean, if he was still going to do like, oh, it was a joke, like, why'd you take it so fucking seriously? It's like, look, you could have made like a more dumber joke, like as a defense, like, you know how everyone like fucking zeroed in on the word "we."
Yep.
It's like you could have said, "Sorry, that was a French typo."
By the way, Huggy, have you heard the whole cat thing with Vito? He might have died. Who's actually put that in here?
I mean, fucking, have you seen some of the shit he said in defense of Mr. Girl?
No.
Apparently, Kino Shay or Kinocopter on Twitter.
Yep.
Had like a fucking collage of every reply Vito made to someone talking about Mr. Girl.
Oh.
And it's like, it's close to like 50 or 60 different replies.
That'd be interesting to find.
Yeah, just he's got like his account dressed up to look like Teddy Feezer, but it's at Kinocopter.
Yeah, I forget. My keys don't work. Now I gotta try and do this on here, which I don't fucking know very well.
You'll see it. It was. I guess
yeah,
it
but
was
there's a
about 5
way to.
hours ago.
Oh, it was recent. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought I was gonna be searching.
No, you just gotta scroll down because he created a thread talking about it. Might be able to find it in media.
You know, I kind of at points wish that the freaking internet version of this
right
worked.
there. You see that one with all the replies? That's the
Jesus Christ! Wow! Holy
I wasn't
shit!
joking when I said that. Yeah, you're gonna have to zoom in to see some of this shit.
Holy shit! Hold on.
Yeah, just open the image in a new tab.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Oh, I'm way zoomed out. There we go. There
we are. Your generation thinks everything is cope and cringe. I don't know. I think every generation didn't defend a pedophile like you did.
Nobody's comedy centers around pedophilia here.
Look at that one. So kill them. No one's stopping you.
Jesus Christ. Oh, that's a hell of a one.
Oh yeah, there's the one where it's like after oh my god.
I'm definitely a pervert, but it doesn't mean I want to make it okay to kids. Winners all around.
Oh my god. Yeah, the one where he's talking about butt fucking 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
And doing crowd work. Oh yeah, look, the joke only works because society agrees pedophilia is horrific. It reinforces that idea. What? That's the only way how the joke works is because society is horrified by it?
Oh my god. Jesus Christ, Vito. Did you see this one?
Yeah, the cops rate more. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not even on the subsection.
Yeah, there we go. There's Mr. Girl's video. The one where he had the screen cap. It was over to the right.
I love a good. Oh,
look in the mirror,
man. It's a banger, Shrek.
Right there. Did you watch the video? And he. Oh my god. What picture? Defend them how? Satire is hard, my dude. A vast.
I forgot to link the video.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me go into my likes. Holy shit. I really wanted to find.
Wait,
I might have to.
Wait, go back to that one. Those people are just right-wing pearl clutchers. They claim they claim to love edgy comedy, but freak out when it actually touches the edge instead of just being stupid and racist.
In or out of context, I don't care. This one still sounds fucked.
Let me babysit your kid and then find out for
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Vito.
He really said.
And there's the one where Vito's like trying to get a date and it's like, how old are you? But I should really make time to actually watch The Sopranos. What? It's like this dude was pulling everything, it seems, trying to defend Mr. Girl.
Some of these are repeat, I'm noticing.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Because I see you already read that one.
Hold up. A lot of people would say that sexism is similarly off limits or racism. Let people make jokes. Stop trying to establish comedy rules. Anything can be funny if done right. Well, I suggest you do it right.
Yeah.
I mean, Louis C.K. had the perfect example. If it was like, Hitler getting raped by Elmer Fudd, then rape jokes are funny. Or was it Porky Pig? I forget which one he used.
I can't remember, but I know the analogy you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, I gotta.
Oh, wait a minute, Vito. I can pretty much guarantee he has never made content about how he loves young girls. Cuties review.
Go and get fucking help.
Look,
Don't
it's
fuck
beyond a
kids
mental illness.
to fix
like,
it.
You're putting it on the same
man.
level as somebody who's depressed and somebody who has mental illness is not the same.
That's y'all partner, not mine. I don't know this nigga like that. I'll be right back.
It's not the same
Yeah,
as somebody who
there's
has
a new medical treatment for people with mental illness.
Yeah, killing themselves, right?
Canada has a new treatment for people with mental illness.
Hey,
finish the joke.
Look.
Okay, can we all agree that everybody's
He's
just
your
buying
bro.
Eric's book to have it and they're not actually reading it while he's gone? Can we all?
Hey, I read it. I read
read
it twice. I did read it. I read the comics I buy.
Patrick, what'd you think of it since you read it and you bought it? I'm guessing.
There it is.
No. Like I enjoyed it, but I will say this. It was.
Do you not know what's going on in Canada, Dick?
Yeah, people are killing themselves.
Yeah, if you're
That's what I
mental
said.
illness, homeless, they offer medical assisted suicide.
I mean, I would think pedophiles would want to do that.
Good.
I hope Vito moves there.
That's the solution.
Look, Patrick. Now that Eric's back, please tell us what you thought of Eric July's book.
Did I
Why don't you go move next to one, Dick?
A pedophile?
Yeah.
I'm sure that I live next to at least
He does
one.
a show with one every week.
Yeah, they're very identified. They're all over the place.
I will
Wait,
give EVS.
even
That was
EVS
actually
did that?
funny.
Okay, and then EVS is like defending Vito now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The switch on this is fucking crazy. Like, when you look at everything in totality, especially now with the Nick and the stuff that he's saying, like, the switch on this is fucking nuts.
Yeah, I mean, funny thing is Flash is like making the joke about medically assisted suicide. It's
Yeah,
like, I mean,
euthanasia, yeah.
I mean, you could have government conspiracy assisted suicide with 2 to the back of the head.
Oh, man.
I've been on Megan's Law. I know they're fucking. I used to live in Hollywood, bro. You load up Megan's Law and it looks like a fucking Pac-Man game in Hollywood. What do you? What am I supposed to say to that? Oh wow.
Do you feel sorry for him? Wow.
Yeah. That would be horrible. I mean, if we had a cure for pedophilia, we would cure them, right?
I have a cure. You just
There is
don't
a
like
cure.
It.
It's in Canada.
Yeah, you don't
They
like.
should
the
move
cure.
there.
This is where
I feel like I'm talking to like a bunch of retarded jocks. Like we would cure them of the desire to fuck kids, right?
Well, that's what that medical solution that Canada offers will help solve.
Hilarious. So we would like cure
It's
them
true.
of the
It's not
desire,
meant to be
right?
a joke, Dick.
It's not a joke. That's literally
Holy
how I
shit.
feel.
That is fucking retarded. You can't even think it through. Like, if we could cure it, like with a wish, and get rid of it in the human genome, we would.
We would, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that would be
Thank you.
great.
Fuck, Thank
of
you,
course.
Ethan.
But that's
But that doesn't mean that I feel
that's a
sorry
paradigm.
for them in any way, shape, or form.
Genome is culling the herd. I'm not saying it's the best solution or the most ethical, but it did work.
Oh man, the irony of like that was shocking and jarring to me watching this was knowing where EVS goes with the Rekieta arguments and hearing him argue the think of the children here versus the children turned to parents in and set Nick up. Like it's kind of wild when you really think about it.
Think of the children when it involves pedophiles. Don't think of the children when it involves Nick.
I would do a lot of things if I had a wish.
It's very tough. It's very tough.
You know that. Oh yeah, because I'm so
very
tough.
tough. I mean, you're sounding tough. That's.
I mean,
But
Dick, I would do a lot of
You're
things.
calling
if I
out
could
here.
do it.
I hear Vito's pretty far from tough when you meet him in real life.
Vito, he's a big
Man.
fat guy. I don't think he wants to be tough. What do you mean?
Yellow Flash loses it here. When he said that statement, it just, the way he says it versus how the rest of this argument goes, it's like one big walk back.
Real life.
Vito, he's a big fat guy. I don't think he wants to be tough. What do you mean?
Well, he just runs his mouth a lot online. Doesn't seem to have any backbone when you meet him in person, from what I hear.
What do you want to fight him, Flash?
Sure.
Is that what I mean? That's your values. You talk online and then you meet somebody and you want to get into a fist fight with them.
No, but I bet if he talks a lot of shit online. But I bet if you asked him about his problems in person, he'd be quite the little bitch about it.
Like problems like what? I mean, me and Vito protested the biggest trans rally in the world, right? And got attacked and shit. What have you done? Confrontationally, what have you done?
He looked real tough there in that.
Well, what have you done? What real life altercations have you been in?
Well, I've definitely not ran
level?
out and defended pedophiles left and right.
So
That's
none.
for sure.
So you've been in no confrontations like that. I mean, you're calling Vito a bitch, but what have you done?
Not defended pedophiles.
Okay, so nothing. You're just
not defended pedophiles.
Oh, you're gonna kick his ass in person? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I said I'd like to talk to him about his problems if I ever met him. I didn't say I was going to kick his
problems? Ass. But you implied that he wouldn't get physical with you. What did you mean by that?
Because he's a bitch.
So he wouldn't get in a fist fight with you over an opinion that he had.
No, I bet you he would apologize immediately.
Or else what?
Well, there'd be no issue.
Okay. So he just would reverse his opinions because he was afraid of you physically?
Sure.
Okay. Great. Very forward thinking, guys.
What'd you think of the book?
Forward thinking, yeah.
No one cares.
Forward thinking, man.
Let's have a wood chipper moment. Yeah, let's.
Yeah, man. How many kids have you ever? How many pedophile victims? If you want to play the what about game, how many pedophile victims have you sat down with and actually done something about? Since we're talking about victims, never, probably none, man.
How many pedophile victims
you want
I?
to troll. You're troll, man. We know you're a troll, dude. And that's fine. That's why I stay out of these.
I mean, I'm doing just as much as you guys ranting about kicking Vito's ass because he said.
Yeah.
I have no idea what he even said.
Why do you defend pedophiles, Dick?
Why do I defend pedophiles raping kids? I don't do that.
Well, you feel sorry for him.
Why does every conversation with you retards go into calling people pedophiles? Nobody likes pedophiles. Not even pedophiles like pedophiles.
Well, let's pull up Nina's stream.
I mean,
Hold on.
You're such fucking scumbags. You call everybody pedophiles. That's your whole thing. That's the only arrow in your quiver.
What's that?
Fucking Dick here's saying, not even pedophiles like pedophiles, yet they trade kitty porn like it's fucking baseball cards.
You got to root out the competition,
Pedophile.
Do you know how fucked that is, Nina, to call somebody a fucking pedophile?
No, we said he's a pedophile lover. He sympathizes with them. That's all we said. We didn't call him a pedophile. We don't.
Can we talk about comics again? Is there any chance
Patrick,
that we could get
what
off
did
the
you think
kid
about the
fucking?
book?
I mean, it's just enough.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm bringing the mood down, and I'm just gonna keep fighting with everybody.
I'm gonna pull up Nina's stream where she talked to Vito. You don't want to watch it?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
I know Vito's. I know we all hate pedophiles, right? So I don't know what this is gonna prove.
Seem like Vito does.
Not enough for you guys. Sorry. No, I don't know if anybody hates pedophiles.
We started, Dick. You came in here because we were talking about story. Okay.
Hold on. Another question. He says he defends cuties because of free speech. Then why does he try to get people's platforms taken down? Like when he sent clips of Andy Worski sending the N-word.
This is
to
about
get his boxing
deplatforming.
match,
So you're calling Vito a pedophile because he tried to deplatform one of your friends.
Well, no. When you ask
Oh my
Vito,
God. You changed the goalpost. You changed the goalpost so much, Dick.
When you ask Vito
such a tool.
why he defends cuties, why does he defend cuties? He says because of free speech. Why, if he supports free speech, why does he try to silence people's speech by tagging Team YouTube on Neurotic to try to get his channel taken down?
Well,
when
he got
Alex
angry.
Jones on.
He got angry. He
So let's deplatform him. I'm angry. Let's
he got angry.
Nerdrotic.
Yes, he got angry and did that.
Right.
He said that.
And then
He's
the next week it was
apologizing.
really hilarious when he went on
remember that, right,
InfoWars.
Pat?
I
And
know.
then-
What's that?
That whole event where Vito was trying to get Worski deplatformed.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that, and it came around again recently.
Yeah, because of the whole him having Alex Jones on, and then he wouldn't let Vito in to talk to him.
Yeah, yeah. It's fucking
What the
crazy.
fuck?
He's a man baby. Like, that's my honest opinion of Vito. He's a man baby.
He's a man baby that wants a baby.
You know. The lowest hanging fruit.
Also, Andy Worski had that boxing match, and then he's tagging the Sun, sending clips of Andy saying the N-word to the boxing arena and the promoters. Where's the free speech in that? I don't understand that. But Cutie's defense is free speech, but he's quite willing to silence people's speech left and right.
Yeah, I mean, he's a liberal. What do you want? That's
tells
what they
me,
do.
Yeah, I think he likes kids.
Okay,
Wait,
Nina,
he's
what
a
was that about
liberal?
how no one's calling?
What's that?
Dick just said that Vito was a liberal.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
I buy it with some of his actions that I've seen because they're not in the joking manner. Like when he's serious, and I don't think he's actually joking. Like I've seen him actually get passionate and been on smaller streams saying similar to where it's like he has no audience there. So some of it, yes, I believe. I think he's more probably centralist, libertarian, maybe classical liberal.
Calling him a pedophile? There you fucking go.
He lays a lot of eggs down to pick up, doesn't he?
There you go, Nina. What did I fucking say?
Look, he says he sympathizes with them a lot. It's kind of questionable. That's all. So people, I have a valid opinion about what he puts out. As himself.
Story. I think story is very important for independent comics. It's more important for independent comics to get story right than anything else. Eric, I apologize for calling you a scam artist. I don't think you are, but I glibly refer to marketing and scams as the same thing because I think they kind of are. I'm in marketing, and I it's just like a kind of joke that I say. I don't think it's a scam. I think you could work on your storytelling and get better. And I hope everybody in indie comics gets better with their stories.
Honestly, this is kind of all that happens with this.